What TF2 class makes the best female woman version of that class if they were made to be a female in a woman? Bit of a random video, but I know it's going to do well because the internet is filled with a bunch of freaky pervert. Gender swapping, or gender bending, is kind of a fascinating phenomenon. There seems to be this obsession with changing male characters into females. In fact, Rule 63 of the internet states that for every given male character, there is a female version of that character, and vice versa. That's right, it goes both ways, and while it is a bit less common to see female characters turn into males, they do exist, and I'm trying to stay open-minded, but some of these are kind of cursed. Of course, the more common swap is from male to female, and if you think of any famous video game character, you'll find their female counterpart. You have your Linkle, you've got your Bowsette, your Gordon Sheeman, I'm coining that name, and of course, female Mario. And the TF2 characters are certainly no exception to this rule, with hundreds of pieces of concept art, designs, and even playable models to explore. But the question is, which class makes the best female? Which is a question that doesn't really make any sense, but it makes for a nice title. I guess more accurately, which class gets made into a female the most, and which class has some of the best gender swap artwork out there. Now the obvious answer is Scout, seeing as Fem Scout is actually an unlockable playable character, which you can obtain just by following a few simple steps. And most of you, I would imagine, have already unlocked her. But let's not be hasty. You might be surprised at how many really good designs there are for all the other classes. Valve themselves even have some cool female concept art, which is on the wiki, and which takes the classes in some unexpected directions. And pretty much every class has a female playable model you can download and play with, some of which are actually really good. So let's go through each class and take a look. Okay, let's start by googling Fem Scout. Oh dear god, there are so many. Scout is one of the most gender-swapped classes in the game, presumably in part due to his slim figure, because as we know, all female humans are very slim and petite and delicate. Just joking, don't cancel me. But yeah, there are so many great pieces of art for Scout. I love this one, I love this one, I love this one, I love this one. I even love some of the more stylistic and unusual interpretations. Even if I don't think they have a place in the TF2 world, they just look really cool. But this was my favourite, purely because it feels really in keeping with the TF2 art style, and the outfit looks great, and it's not doing any of that overly sexualised stuff, which can be a bit much sometimes. The Scout's playable model is definitely one of the better ones, and it was really good fun trying out different cosmetics and going around killing people as a girl in the game, even if the people I killed didn't actually see me that way on their screen. Oh, and just to finish up, here's a cursed Scout/Tracer hybrid for no reason. There are much fewer designs for the female soldier. There is a playable model you can download, but it's not to quite the same quality as the Scouts. It seems to be just a soldier without any trousers on. But maybe there's another one out there I didn't find. Generally speaking, soldiers really not had a lot of love in the gender swap department. Some very cool drawings, but not quite as much material as some of the other classes. I did find this torso that looks cool. Obviously she has a massive pair of boots, but yeah, it doesn't look like it was finished, unfortunately, so they just popped a bag over her head and called it a day. And I also found this one that looks just a bit too much like my nan. Okay, let's see what Pyro has to offer. Oh dear god. Why is it that Pyro always gets the really freaky stuff? I mean the really messed up stuff. I mean, I don't like to kink shame, but Pyro may be the most popular class in the gender swap community, perhaps because of the mystery surrounding the character. The playable model does look pretty cool, even better with a few very carefully selected cosmetics. But again, some aspects of her anatomy feel a little bit exaggerated, to put it mildly. This seems to be a common trait in the world of gender bending, but I won't ask why, whatever floats your boat. There were some nice, more subtle models which I liked, as they felt a bit more maybe realistic or just less ridiculous. I really liked this one too, although the Pyro should have a much more loosely fitting suit in my opinion. There's also a pretty cool Meet the Femme Pyro video, which is really well done and has great moments in it, and a slightly random ending where she meets the male Pyro and they walk off into the sunset. I stumbled across this really cool female demo woman model, and it was this image that inspired the video. I really loved this face. It feels like it's full of character, and faces are probably the hardest part to get right, I would imagine. Although she kind of looks a bit too dignified and possibly not quite drunk enough to be anything like the demo man we know and love, but maybe that's fine. I wasn't able to get this model working in game, unfortunately, but I did find this other cool 3D model with a slightly angrier looking face, and I also found the normal selection of very cool drawings too, but not quite as many as some of the other classes. But it was at this stage in my research that I found this beauty. Holy female concept arts. That's juicy. Such a cool, distinct art style. And the best part is, there is one for every class. I think my favourite has to be maybe the Pyro or the Demo Knight. I don't know. I love them all and I want them on my wall. Links below if you want to take a look at some of this stuff more closely. Boom. Done. New stereotypes here, baby. I'm pretty sure all Russian women look exactly like this. I think it's hard to translate the beauty and perfection that is the heavy into anything else, and so maybe that's why there is slightly less gender swap artwork for the heavy, but there's still a good few cool drawings out there. Some of which, granted, are just generic pretty girls who happen to have a minigun kind of near them. And as for the playable 3D model, it is very cool, but the face just looks a little bit like a 12-year-old boy to me. But like I said, I imagine it's really hard to get the face right. And she seems to have quite a muffin top too, but that's fine. Although when I was playing around with the cosmetics, I actually didn't mind her with the male's body. Maybe you could do some kind of very subtle adjustments here and there, but it could be really similar. Femgineer is another class that's pretty popular to gender swap, with loads of really cool artwork to be found. And the playable model for the female engineer is pretty darn awesome too. Definitely one of my favourites. The body is spot on. The face is cool too, but something about maybe the lips just felt a little bit off to me, but maybe that's just me. This is another one that has a meet the video, and this uses this same model, and it's really well done, and clearly a bunch of work has gone into this, including the voice acting as well. I had a lot of fun trying out different cosmetics on this model, all of which worked perfectly well. Medic is another popular one with a very cool playable model. The face, or maybe it's the hair, gives me a little bit of a Miss Pauline vibe. I think this one does look a bit on the young side too. Medic is 50 years old apparently, and this lovely lass looks around 30 tops, but maybe that's fine. I also found this version too that looks a bit like an angry teacher, but still looks pretty darn cool. And as always, cool drawings, check. Really cool drawings, check. And cosmetics that work perfectly well, check. The female sniper model might be my favourite. I even don't mind the face, which is apparently very unusual for me. She does still look kind of young. I know I keep going on about it, but maybe that's a thing in the gender swap community, I don't know. Or maybe I'm so old that everyone looks young to me. And we have another Meet the Video, which was a 2013 Saxy Awards entry, and it's awesome and really well written. Is this person putting on an Aussie accent though? I can't quite tell.
You just keep on believing that, mate.
Overall, there's maybe slightly less artwork for the female sniper, but there's still plenty of very cool drawings out there. And as I said, I love the playable model, and this one does work really well with a lot of the cosmetics I had too. Last but not least, the She-Spee. Now I wasn't expecting too much content for the spy, but I was surprised to find that there is loads of really cool designs and drawings. I really love this one in that kind of 1940s pin-up girl style. And this is cool, but the skirt was just a bit too long, so yeah, just not that keen just because, you know, the skirt being too long. As for the playable model, this looks great too. The clothes, the torso, the face, it all looks really good. Whether it reflects the spy's personality, who knows? Whether it needs to, again, I don't know, but I think it looks very cool. And this one, well, this kind of just looks like a cross-dresser, but that might be offensive. I apologise, please don't cancel me. I would say the Scout and the Pyro have the most gender swap artwork, with perhaps Heavy, Demo and Soldier having the least amount and the others sitting somewhere in the middle. But out of all the playable models, my favourite has to be the Engineer and the Sniper, and I found it really refreshing to be able to see my cosmetics on a slightly different version of the classes I know and love. But there was certainly many incredible pieces of art for every single class, and I especially loved these ones by Propass, which use pretty much the polar opposite art style to TF2. But here's a question for you: what makes an ideal gender swap? Should it have the same vibe as the original version? Should they be the same age and have the same personality? Does it need to be in keeping with the art style of the original? At the end of the day, I guess you can do what you like, and it just depends on what your goal is. If you're just doing a drawing for fun, then knock yourself out. But if you are trying to create something that could live in the TF2 world or even in the game, then I think some of these things should be considered. I only scratched the surface of the world of gender swapping in TF2, and I apologise if I missed anything I should have covered, or if I got any of those names mixed up. Be sure to let me know in the comments below, and I'll pin or like your comments. Happy New Year, and thank you all so much for your ongoing support. A little bit slow on the videos at the moment, so I apologise for that, but I love you lots, and I'll see you guys in the next one, which should be ready by at least the end of next year, so real soon.